Polar bears, unlike other bears, eat almost entirely meat. Their menu includes a variety of animals, such as seals and whales, but they will eat whatever comes their way. Have you ever seen a polar bear ambush a seal? What about a male polar bear trying to kill polar bear cubs? If you want to see polar bears in action, keep watching as we look at polar bears brutally and mercilessly hunting and eating their kills. Number 11. Polar bear eating rabbit. While polar bears are the reputed kings of the Arctic, catching a rabbit for them is extremely difficult because of the fluffy animal's quickness and speed. However, in this video, a polar bear easily kills a rabbit in its enclosure at a zoo. Of course, with the environment being controlled, it makes it a lot easier for the bear to succeed. Number 10. Polar bear hunts reindeer. This incredible footage shows a polar bear swimming after an adult reindeer, and slowly but surely, it is catching up to it. Once the bear grabs onto the animal, the battle begins. It's very difficult for the reindeer to defend itself in the middle of the water, so the bear has the advantage. What is most impressive is how the bear drags the large prey out of the water after killing it. Once it drags it far enough, the bear settles down and begins to eat it. Number 9. Polar bears hunting walrus. It's time to start hunting when a hungry polar bear approaches a walrus army. Walruses are difficult to persuade. They can weigh hundreds of pounds and have enormous fangs that can harm the polar bear. So the bear must exercise caution. Because the bear is much smaller, the walruses will not be afraid to challenge it. The polar bear is looking for a weak link, such as a wounded or sick walrus. He swirls around until he finds a smaller walrus and climbs onto its back. Walruses have a lot of fat on their bodies to protect them from the cold and bites, so they're still huge even though they're small. It's not going to be easy. The bear is unable to hold onto the walrus and eventually lets it go. A bear built like this can take down just about any Arctic prey at once, even the biggest, and that's what this polar bear is doing when it takes on a bull walrus. This is rare evidence of a polar bear's true power. The bull walrus can have 3-foot tusks and weighs nearly 2 tons, but it's virtually helpless against a polar bear's merciless attack. Using its massive neck muscles, the bear haws its mammoth prey from the sea. This massive walrus is dragged from the ocean by a polar bear. Although this beast is extremely heavy, the polar bear recognizes its value and will continue to pull. It takes a break, but it will return to work as soon as it has recovered. Number 8. Polar bear hunting seal. When this seal decides to relax on this snowbank to admire the scenery, the last thing he expects is for a polar bear to ambush him. The seal quickly dives into the water to escape, but the polar bear is still able to grab him and pull him out of the water, killing him in the process. This polar bear is probably the largest bear I've ever seen. It is absolutely humongous, and when it walks right next to a young seal, it looks even bigger. It gently grabs the seal without crushing it yet. But we all know what happens next, don't we? Number 7. Polar bear hunting fish. This polar bear lives at a zoo and decides he's a little hungry, so all he must do is jump into the pool and go fishing. He comes out of the water with a fish and doesn't waste any time to enjoy his snack. These polar bears live at a zoo, and they have access to fish in their own little pond. I guess it keeps them honest and active. You can see this polar bear underwater trying to bite a fish, but the fish easily gets away. However, I have a feeling this polar bear isn't going to give up his hunt. Polar bears rely on ice to hunt, and as it disappears, they're unable to reach their traditional prey. Because each Arctic summer brings more water and less ice, some polar bears are forced to feed on seaweed, birds, and Arctic char, a type of salmon, as they migrate upstream to spawn. Their ability to find food and learn new hunting techniques may be critical to their survival. Number 6. Polar bear hunts beluga. A polar bear is seen hunting a beluga in this overhead shot. The bear has clearly made the kill, but now the task is to relocate the large whale to a safer and more comfortable location where the bear can consume it. This polar bear has hunted and killed a cute beluga whale in the open sea, and it is holding on to it so it can dig through its tender and tasty meat. Belugas are not very big whales and make an excellent meal for the big bears. beluga whales are often attacked and eaten by killer whales and polar bears. Scientists believe that belugas may swim far into ice-covered waters to avoid orcas, but this may put them at greater risk of polar bear predation. In the summer, beluga whales are Churchill's main attraction. Over 50,000 belugas live in Hudson Bay, and 3,000 to 4,000 will crowd the Churchill River, delighting tourists. Here they will calf their young and gorge on millions of capelins, small sardine-sized fish. This big polar bear is on the hunt for a beluga whale. Catching one is unlikely, but not impossible. Here in Churchill, bear guides have seen polar bears attacking belugas in summer, in shallow water. Adult beluga whales are big and fast. Males can grow up to 18 feet, so the bear waits patiently for his best chance, a young calf. When he spots his chance, he dives quickly, but he's outmatched. Belugas can swim more than twice as fast as a polar bear. This is simply an exercise in frustration. A washed-up beluga carcass like the one these bears have found would be ideal. 40% of the beluga's body mass is comprised of blubber. That's 1,200 pounds of food on just one whale. So a single carcass can provide a feast for many bears. But there's no such beluga bounty for the big bear today. His search for a meal must continue. Number 5. Male polar bear eats cub. Polar bear cannibalism is not an uncommon occurrence, but it is rarely witnessed by humans. It's possible that this is the first time it's been captured on video in such detail. Despite the efforts of the cub's mother to protect it, crew and passengers on the Lidblad expeditions trip on the National Geographic Explorer in the Arctic witnessed a male polar bear hunting and then eating a polar bear cub. According to experts, this cannibalistic behavior may become more common as ice melts, making it more difficult for bears to reach their usual food sources. This huge male polar bear tries to get to these polar bear cubs to kill them, but Mom is watching over them. The bear changes his mind and decides to go tobogganing instead, under the watchful eye of the cubs and their mom. During a photography expedition to Svalbard, Norway, a crew of wildlife specialists came across a large male polar bear that had killed a small polar bear cub. Infanticide is a cannibalistic behavior that is mentioned in almost every book about polar bears, but is almost never documented. This was a first for this polar bear expert. Number 4. Polar bear hunting narwhal. This polar bear is pulling a freshly dead narwhal toward the shore. The filmmakers are not sure the bear killed the animal because they didn't see it happen. One can only speculate about how this happened. This is a very deep fjord, with the shoreline plunging almost vertically into the water. This fjord is called Buchan Gulf, and there is quite a dense population of narwhals. Although it's not sure the polar bear killed the narwhal, one thing is for sure: this polar bear will be eating on this day. Number 3. Polar bear attack guillemot. Summer is ending. The ice floe has completely melted. Polar bears who used to be able to travel freely on frozen water throughout the winter are now confined to beaches. Only walruses and bears have stayed on land. They are, however, quite large. Adults have long tusks and weigh between 2 and 3 tons. They are simply too dangerous for the bear. During the summer, the bear's metabolism slows dramatically. They've been worn down by the heat and hunger, and they've evolved into nothing more than shells of their former selves. They're also waiting for ice to return with bated breath. Some of them, however, refuse to say no. This bear's actions are out of the ordinary. Few things are more unexpected than a bear 300 meters above the sea on a collapsing cliff. For this reason, thousands of guillemots build their nests there. But any land predator climbing up there is extremely dangerous. Even so, in the late summer, a bear may find such a situation appealing. The animal's need drives it to put its life in danger, even if it is only for a few eggs and nestlings. This is a very dangerous undertaking. The bear takes it slowly, emptying every nest in its path. He always proceeds with extreme caution. The birds are powerless to prevent the plundering. Despite this, some of them give it their all. Number 2. Polar bear attacks duck. A duck has been discovered swimming in the enclosure of this polar bear at a zoo. For the time being, the bear examines the duck with great care without harming it. But how long will this last? The duck is eventually plucked from the water and killed by the bear. A beautiful polar bear plays with the duck, but only playing for a polar bear means killing the duck. Considering how powerful they are, it doesn't take them much for them to kill a small duck. Number 1. Polar bear eating whale. Up to 3 bowhead whales can be taken for sustenance by Inupiat whaling families at Kaktovik, Alaska, on Barter Island in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. They cut the meat and blubber, as well as the baleen, a filter feeder system found within the jaws, and distribute it for communal consumption. Carcasses are taken to a boneyard on Barter Island's northeast shore, where polar bears on the Beaufort Sea's surrounding barrier islands swim to eat the remainder. Most polar bears can be found north of the Arctic Circle, all the way to the North Pole. In Manitoba, Canada, there are some populations south of the Arctic Circle in Hudson Bay. Polar bears can be found in Alaska, Canada, Russia, Greenland, and some of Norway's northern islands, such as Svalbard. In this video, you can see a banquet of epic proportions when these polar bears are feasting on these whale carcasses. The smell of dead sperm whales stranded on a secluded island off the coast of northern Svalbard drew 17 polar bears, including females with young, hungry pups. For the bears, it was an all-you-can-eat buffet that filled their bellies. Most of these hunts were incredible, and I don't have a favorite. What impressed me the most, though, was the incredible strength of the polar bear. Which one was your favorite? Why don't you let us know in the comments below? Well, that's our look at polar bears brutally and mercilessly hunting and eating their kills. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and let us know in the comments what you think. Check out our other videos and subscribe to be part of the fun. Click on the notifications icon so you can see our new videos as soon as they're uploaded. That's it for now.